Hello, I'm Roger Sheley, rangeland weed ecologist with the Agricultural Research Service and the Eastern Oregon Agricultural Research Center, and I'm here to present an Eastern Oregon Ag Minute. If variety is the spice of life, this week will be the cayenne pepper of Ag Minutes. I plan to discuss a hodgepodge of weed research projects we've been working on at the experiment station. The first has to do with controlling perennial pepperweed in foxtail flood meadows. Two herbicides work well, Telar and Escort. The problem is that DuPont, who makes the chemicals, has written on their labels that these herbicides will damage meadow foxtail. We wanted to know how much damage you could expect on the grass if you sprayed perennial pepperweed in the fall using these herbicides. We were surprised to find out that neither Telar nor Escort affected meadow grass at all. That's good. Because of the label fit, I'd use Telar. But who can resist using the services of Escort once in a while? Sometimes winter's just too long. It seems like 1 mile is 2 in the winter. And winter feed costs are the most expensive cost to bear in livestock production in Harney County. Many of us use low-quality forage such as rye or bluegrass straw and supplement it with a high-quality protein, alfalfa, to make sure to meet the nutritional needs of gestating cows. If harvested at the right time, Russian knapweed has a lot of protein. So last year, Dave Bonner and I harvested some Russian knapweed before bloom, just as if it were hay, and fed it as a winter feed supplement with fescue straw to cows. After 84 days, the weight and body condition score of our cows were the same as those supplemented with alfalfa. If you could feed your Russian knapweed as if it were alfalfa hay, the winter might feel just a little shorter. Another way to shorten winter is to borrow money in the fall that comes due in the spring. Burning juniper is a useful way to control it. It can get the system working again and release understory desired vegetation. Sometimes, though, there's not enough understory to respond very quickly. We've been studying ways of reseeding desired vegetation in areas where juniper burns have been conducted, but either too few plants were available to respond to control, or the fire was so severe that it killed many of the desired plants. We wanted to know which native species would establish well, at what seeding rate, and whether the mixture was better than a monoculture. We found that blue bunch wheatgrass, Idaho fescue, big bluegrass, yarrow, and blue flax all worked well. Arrowleaf balsam root did not establish. The best results were from those plots where we seeded 20 or more pounds per acre. We also found that the mixture of all species provided excellent establishment of all seeded species, as well as optimum diversity and richness. Averages can be useful. For example, it's a mathematical fact that 50% of people have below average intelligence. So the next time you're standing in a room with another person, one of you isn't all that smart. When it comes to weather, averages aren't very useful because it's the extremes that seem to drive what happens, and in the high desert, there's no such thing as normal. This year, the snowy long winter created a wet spring that left standing water in alfalfa fields so long that the alfalfa finally died. Many alfalfa growers are considering replanting parts of their fields. Studies suggest the 6 or 55 rule. Keep the stand if it has 6 healthy plants or 55 stems per square foot. Stands poorer than these will cause you to spend more money than you make. Also, dandelions indicate the stand is ready for replacement. Tests prove dandelions don't displace alfalfa, they just grow in spots where alfalfa has died out. I'll admit I love to spray weeds. In fact, I really like watching them die. But sometimes I wonder if it's doing any good. The only way to tell if your weed management is working is to map the weeds, then design the best plan, and then map them again to see if there are less of them after the plan's been implemented. Well, that's a lot of mapping, and mapping can be very expensive and take a long time. We've studied ways to make mapping more cost and time efficient. We found that you could sample about 1/100th of your land using systematic sampling, use some new math software, and create maps that are about 80% accurate. These maps are critical in designing smart management programs and determining if the program is working or not. Using sampling makes mapping cost and time efficient and makes sense for anyone with large acreages. So now when you're out killing weeds, you'll be able to determine if it's working. I'm Roger Sheley. Thanks for listening.